Welcome to a new episode of Business Velocity. I am Hannah Panuski, one of your hosts. Myself, along with Dave Newell, today are interviewing Hilary Porta. Hilary is a wonderful human. She is a high performing humans coach. She works with founders, professional athletes, celebrities, titans to help them break free from their mental prisons and start living the life that they want to live. This isn't mindset fluff or basic change your thoughts coaching. This is neuroscience backed nervous system rewiring. She helps them express their identity and achieve the business life balance that they hope for. Hilary herself has actually died twice, and as she likes to say, came back twice as dangerous. So, without further ado, enjoy today's episode.
Hey, everybody, welcome to the podcast episode number 4. Yeah, 4,
Yeah, we'll go with that.
7, 10. We are deep into recording season 3, and we're excited about it. We've shifted gears a little bit towards kind of deep dives on some really specific things. And we're excited to bring on a fabulous guest today, who I had the good fortune to meet in a wonderful place called Hilton Head in South Carolina, entrepreneurial group that we're both a part of. We live in the same city and didn't know each other until we went to this retreat together and instantly hit it off. And so we're excited. She does a lot of great mindset coaching. But we're excited to have Hilary here today with us, and we'll share more about that soon. But Hannah, how the heck are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm still kind of in the midst of training some folks. So, it's fun to be a teacher and then always be reminded that I'm still a student, especially when it comes to technology, because technology always has little funny quirks and surprises for you. So I'm just trying to stay adaptive, at this point.
Yeah, well, and it changes constantly at this point in time.
Yeah,
It's a little discombobulating as ChatGPT 5 came out not that long ago. And I feel like all the things that I felt really proud of, diving in and getting certified in certain things, now ChatGPT 5 just does it. And I'm like, okay, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? And trying to keep up with all of it feels like a lot, but it's good. It's good to be in it. It's good to be advancing. I love what you said about even though you're a teacher, you're also a student. And there's
Mhm.
always things to be gleaned, and we're always learning different things from different folks.
For sure. And I think it reinforces the need for a good mindset and the ability to mentally process whatever challenges are coming up, but also whatever developments are happening that you can't control. Technology developments we can't necessarily control. So how do we react to it? How do we have the mental fortitude to accept new systems or learn new things or make sure our team is learning the way they need to? So I think we could probably pester Hillary with some of that.
Yeah, this is Hillary's wheelhouse, and I want to just speak real quickly to something we run into in clients that we work with, a lot of founders, CEOs, leadership teams. When they get mired in complexity and things get hard, one of the things we often hear is what we refer to as the iffy mindset, which is, well, if I can just do this, if I can just hire this person, if I can just get this project off my plate, if I can just X, Y, and Z. And we hear that phrasing quite often. And it's often a symptom of, man, this is so complex. I'm seeing the pieces, and if I can just get this one thing done, then everything will get better. And truthfully, that's wishful thinking, and honestly, not that helpful because there's no silver bullet for the complexity that they're swimming in. And it's also a place we can have a lot of empathy for those folks because the truth is they're looking for a way out because they're generally working too hard and too many things are going on. But it's often that symptom of being mired in complexity. And I'm excited to have Hillary here today, in part again, because she's just a wonderful human who I've gotten the chance to get to know. But also, this is where she lives and really helping entrepreneurs and leaders in the mindset space. And so we're going to learn from her today. We're going to remove our teacher hats a little bit and we're going to put on the student hats. And I'm excited to bring her in. I might bring her in right now. Are you okay with
Let's
that?
do it.
We're ready.
We're ready.
Here we go.
Hey there, guys. How are you today?
We're
We're doing
good.
really well. I hear a really nice southern drawl, Hillary. Where do you hail from? Where did the southern drawl come from?
I have lived all over the world, and it's so funny. I still have not been able to get rid of this accent. I am from East Tennessee, and and it's really funny. People mistake it for Georgia. My grandmother had a really heavy Southern accent. I mean, we're talking, honey, go grab me some iced tea. I mean, and it's so funny. I lived up in New York for just a small stint, and I literally got made up on it. It's not even funny, and yeah, it's terrible.
Well, not a bad place to be from.
Not at all. It's beautiful there. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is. I only got a chance to go there for the first time last year, but it is really beautiful in East Tennessee.
Yeah, that's great.
hmm
Great.
And these days you're in Charlotte, right?
I am right outside of Charlotte. We were just laughing earlier, that Dave mentioned that we had to go to actually Hilton had to find each other, even though we're both in both in Charlotte.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, well, so we're excited to jump in with you today. We've alluded to it a little bit, but you do a fair amount of mindset work. You're working with executives and leaders, and I'll just say you're meeting them in the hard spaces.
yeah,
Right. There's a lot of hard when you show up at that space. One of the things we often talk about is as you elevate in an organization, so does the ambiguity. And
100%.
so, it just gets harder and harder to know what the right answer is. You get trapped in a lot of things, but I'd love to just get your perspective on what are some of the things that you're seeing? What are some of the big obstacles? What are some of the narratives that you're running into as you're working with high level execs?
Oh my. One of the biggest things I think that I see so often is truly identity issues,
Hmm.
right? And as you said earlier, it's kind of like next level, next devil, and all of these things, all the micro distortions in the lies that you believe about yourself, or scarcity, or something comes up into play, and it throws you off your game and creates that vulnerability and that next layer of it. And so, I'm obsessed with it. Kid you not. It's really funny because, you mentioned that you're more into the process and the systems and the things of that nature, which I do as well. But just kind of from the mindset thing, it's really so incredibly important to have the identity piece, right? And knowing who you are, what your non-negotiables are, what you're bringing to the table, how, authentic you can actually be as a leader, and what that looks like from an emotional mastery standpoint, and all of that. So yeah, and it is such a sacred space. I love it so much.
How did you get into doing this work?
It hit me one day. So I feel like I could be your grandmother because, I'm like almost 60 years old. So I've been doing this a long time, but it hit me one day, like really like in the face. And because I'm great at making people six, seven, eight figures. Okay. I just am. I've been doing it for a really long time, know how to do it. Again, I'm kind of a process girl. All about optimization. I mean, I am just obsessed with optimization and for sustainability, things like that. And I realized that as companies grew and we were able to scale them, one of the things I noticed is they became so laser focused on that part that their relationships started to suffer. And while I'm making them an exorbitant amount of money, everything else was crumbling. And so I was like, oh, let's pull back from this. What do I want to do, and how do I want to encompass it? Because there's coaches out there that are specifically for business. There's coaches out there specifically life coaches. There, parenting coaches. There's a coach everywhere for everything. You think about it, our parents are actually our coaches for the first 18 years. I mean, we everybody has a coach. And so I started calling myself more of a life architect years and years ago because I really decided to take a deeper dive into kind of the neuropsychology piece. And then I kind of, once you go down the rabbit hole, man, there's no turning back. And so you just start getting into everything from epigenetics to NLP to, gosh, I could go on and on and on about it. But so I went down the rabbit hole and really decided to put a whole bunch of different tools in my toolbox so that we're not just addressing just the systems pieces and the process pieces, but actually, the whole piece, meaning like mainly if my customers are going to hire me, we're getting in their business. We're going deep in it so that, again, because as you as you grow and you scale, it is a next level, things start popping up. And so how do you deal with those mindsets, all the time? I mean, it's just a really important thing to learn who you really are and how you want to show up.
I think one thing I've definitely seen with our clients is like who you really are and how you want to show up at what stage of the business too. Because a lot of the companies that we work with, maybe they've been around for 5 or 6 years, they've fixed a lot of things and now they want to scale and grow to that next level. But the leadership team doesn't know who they are at the next level. They're not just
Yes.
constantly fixing, or they're having to analyze things from a growth and scalability perspective rather than just let's get the house built. So I'd be
Yes.
curious to know, like, what do you see as far as like the difference in identity when you are just starting out with a business, when it's sort of startup mode versus like when you're trying to actually like grow and scale?
That's a great question. Truth is that most of the time when you're first starting your business, as y'all know, I mean, you're duct taping everything. You just duct tape it all together and you just pray and wing it until you make it. A lot of the times, unless you've got good help like yourselves and your company to help guide people or a coach like myself. But as you're, yes, the question was that your mindset is totally different as you're, going in and scaling and things of that nature. So as you're elevating and the things that you need to focus on are much different. And a lot of the times, people are ill prepared. It's not like, well, they've written, or they've read a white paper on it, and let's just go ahead and do it. So yes, I mean, as they're continuing to grow, that's one of the things that you guys see a lot. Like, what are the hot spots for you guys that you're seeing?
It's a good question. One of the things that I was just thinking about as you were saying that is, I'll give you an example of a client we're working with right now who, started a business a few years ago. It was kind of a side gig, made 100 grand. Then it turned into a 300,000. Then it turned into 500. Now it's like maybe 1.2 million, which is exciting. That's great. It's, maybe 6, 7 years into it. It's like there's been this kind of linear elevation, and he's so tired and burning out and is just like, oh man. And I hear that story constantly of like, we've really pushed their
Yeah.
capability in the role that they're in, the way they're operating, the way they're functioning. We've pushed the capability to the boundary. And we call that kind of hitting your complexity threshold. All of a
Yes.
sudden, it's like, I am at the threshold. And I feel like that's where a lot of the identity and a lot of the, well, who am I now? Who do I need to be? Like, what am I doing? I'm the bottleneck. I'm this, I'm this. And I
Right.
think it's just a huge increase in the uncertainty as a leader, as a person, as a, how to execute the business at 1.2 million, but as soon as somebody says, hey, we should get to 1.5 next year, or what about two? And all of a sudden you're like, I can't do this again. I don't know how to do this again. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to do this. Like now you can't sleep and you're stressed out, right? So
Yeah.
there's that space that we often meet people in. And to your point, we'll talk a lot about kind of the marriage of systems and behavior.
Hmm.
Okay, there's a structural element to your business that we need to advance.
Right.
We talked a lot about, optimization. You're an optimizations girl, right? Like we
Oh, yeah.
think very much the same way. It's like, how do we do it better? How do we do it faster? And also, are we doing the right work? And are you the right person to lead this portion? And does this align with kind of what you wanted your life to be? Are you missing your kids' sports games because you're spending your time doing this? And what do you care about? And
Yeah.
all of that soup kind of mixes together. And I would love to say, here's the 3 steps you need to take to do that, and everything's solved forever and always, and you're good. Right. But as you've said, next level, next level, right? Like you get to the next thing and it's the next problem and the next problem, the next problem. So, it's a privilege to meet people in that space, but it's also, you kind of step into the guide. So, I mean, I know you've had your own journey getting where you are.
Oh,
Uh,
yeah.
where have you seen the challenges for yourself? How have you worked through some of that?
Well, like myself and in most companies and things like that, as you're scaling and you're maybe adding another company, another company. I mean, I've got 3 different companies going on, and so the burnout is real unless you set such intentions and you really, really do have that clarity. Right. I think that's the biggest thing is you need to know where you're going to go, what's going to be, and you have to know, and you have to take a look around, like who's your support system, who's your support teams, right? Have you got that in place? And not only that, is it, I think you used the probably the key word there, alignment. Is this in alignment with really who I'm becoming? Because, we're all hopefully no one's, staying the same and stalling out, right? I mean, we're all becoming in a constant way. And so we're figuring it out kind of as we're building a plane, right? You're flying at the same time. And so you have to really go within and learn who you are, and not only what you are, but how you can also serve. And again, going back to that alignment and what you mentioned is the burnout. The burnout is so real. I mean, I deal with that with so many of my clients. They've been building for so long. It's just the deep fatigue. And then they're like, okay, it's like that little engine could, and everybody's like, let's go, let's go, let's go. And they're like, oh my gosh, you're gonna be kidding me. I'm needing to almost step down. But it's also because you're throwing the same mindset on a different set of issues that you can't. You've got to expand. You've got to, evolve with that. I mean, you're not going to be able to solve the same situation in the different ways as you continue to scale.
I love what you just said because it's really true and hits home. We're kind of in that space. We're in a evolution and a growth space, and it's even in our own business, we're kind of pushing to the point where if somebody said to me, "Hey, you should double next year," I'd be like, "I am tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired." That sounds like a lot.
Yeah.
So it's is there a question? Is there something you apply that helps people kind of unlock a new way of thinking or just kind of grapple with it in a meaningful way? Like I know in the coaching that we do, every once in a while there's like a question I slip in because I know, all right, this question is going to get them thinking a little differently. I'm curious if you're willing to share one of your key coaching questions to get people to grapple with that deep identity.
Well, it's really also it's a question, but at the same time is what are you defining your success as? And what's your current life costing you? Okay?
Ooh, I like the second half of that. Hits deep.
Yeah, it is deep. It's really deep. And I always ask that because sure, you may be making seven, eight figures, but what is it costing you? What is it costing you health wise? What is it costing you mentally? What is it costing you emotionally, physically, relationally? And I'll tell you, there's a cost. There is a cost to that. And so unless you've got things in place, it's going to cost. And so I always ask that question. And then I also say, what are you defining your success with? Because that's one of the things that I've seen that's really been really interesting, right? Is that so often, okay, so someone will get on a discovery call with me. I'm like, hey, okay, so let's talk about this. And very first thing is like, okay, I heard that you can just make people really rich. I'm like, okay. I've had that, believe it or not, I've had that, said to me so many times. They're like, I really want to have a 7, 8 figure business. And I heard you were, the girl that can do it. And I'm like, okay, but let's slow it down for a second. Why do you want a 7 or 8 figure business? What does that really mean to you? Is it something that you need that badge of honor for? I mean, what is it? Because let's really talk the reality of this. And I think so often people, I want to be a millionaire. I'm like, okay, why? What are you going to do with it? How are you going to be? What's your identity going to be? What's it going to change for you, other than having some financial stability and things of that nature? But you have to also take a look at the ROI.
I love that you're asking that question. We'll often run into organizations or people, that say, well, I want to be a millionaire. I want to have a 10-figure business so I have freedom.
Yes.
And then they get there and they're less free than they were with
Right.
a $500,000 business, and
Oh
they're
my gosh, yes.
significantly less happy because they're so
100%.
mired and they're so trapped and they're so stuck in what's going on.
Yes. And I see that so often, Dave, that, around, especially kind of our crowd, a lot of the founders and kind of a lot of my, elite players and things of that nature, they're miserable as hell. I mean, literally, I have helped countless, countless very elite performers. We're talking C-suite exit because they're done. They're tapped out and it's not what they thought. They get in, they're like, okay. So one of my clients just sold his McLaren. And right. That was only one of like four that he had, right? So I mean, I'm not feeling too bad for him.
Yeah, no, me too. I just,
Like
yeah, no, totally.
a couple spare in the back in the garage. But seriously, and he was just, and I said, okay. I said, let's talk a little bit about that. He goes, yeah. He goes, I thought that I had to have all those things. That was my idea of success, having all these multiple homes, multiple cars, and things that were. And I just said, okay, so let's really pull it down. What's really meaningful to you now? And what do you want to leave? Because, like, Hannah, I'm not sure. Are you, forgive me, because I just don't know this piece of information. Are you married or with kids? I mean, you're very young looking, so I don't know.
We got married this year in May.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, no kids yet.
That's okay.
It
So
was a lovely scene, and she has a lovely husband. He's a good dude.
I love that. I love that so much. So congratulations. But Dave, you can speak to this too. As you have kids, one of the things that I see so often in a lot of my clients, they're in building mode, and there's so many things they're missing. And unfortunately, there's so much that happens. The disconnection with your spouse, the disconnection with your kids. You slowly stop missing games and missing. So, like for you, that unfortunately I didn't get to see you in October. I'm sorry, in New York, because you actually elected to stay at home and celebrate your daughter's birthday. And to me, I just gained such a deeper level of respect for that because you knew where your priorities were and the legacy that you were building so that you could have more of a generational impact. And that to me is really important. And so when I'm coaching, kind of these uber successful people and very, high net worth people, it comes down to that. It comes down to honestly stripping away the noise and taking an audit. So many people play mental Pinterest, as I call it, you know,
Yeah.
and they do. They think, oh, they have to have this, they have to have that. But at the end of the day, what is it doing for you?
Yeah. Do you find that folks are honest with themselves, or do they hide behind some, mistruths or lack of self-awareness? I'm curious if somebody, because, that question, I think we know the answer to that question, but the truth is we probably don't spend a whole lot of time truly thinking about it and
Yeah.
going to the level that you're talking about. And I'm wondering if we tell ourselves some stories that we don't, that are mistruths or half truths, and you've got to find your way to the truth.
Yes. Yes, and yes, and yes. Because what I see a lot and what I've experienced myself, and I'm sure that you guys can probably go, oh, hell yes, been there, done that, got that t-shirt too, is that from all the conditioning and experiences that we've had, it shapes you. And that's one of the things that you find. And so you only know what you know. And a lot of times you don't know what you don't know. And, to your point. And so sometimes it's really so incredibly important, but it gets overlooked in our nanosecond culture. It's go, 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 man. I mean, it really is. And it's just accelerating. It's not like it's changing a whole lot either. No one gets still enough to ask themselves the very important questions. Again, elite players and sports people that I actually do and in all different arenas, they have these great habits, the high performance habits. You have to do this and you have to do that. I'm at the 5 a.m. club. I'm like, oh God, okay. Yeah. All right.
Sounds early. Yeah.
They're like, all right, you just go for it. You know what I mean? And they're so regimented because they've been told and taught that this is what you must do, to optimize and to be, at your top and this and that. But it's not for everybody. I mean, what works for one person might not work for another. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think that that's really important. And people lose sight of that. And so then they start the whole comparison thing and they have to do this and they have to do that. So yeah, it's real. And so I think it's really important that you have someone that I always call it iron sharpens iron, right? And I think it's really important that you have someone to check in with and have kind of a weekly scorecard, even at home, right? And with your wife or with your husband, your new husband. Hey, how did we do this week? Were your needs being met? Or did I show up attentively? Things like that. I mean, from a relationship standpoint, and it worked the same thing. You have got to have time that you carve out to get quiet so that you can understand pulling back, getting distance from it enough, kind of that 30,000-foot view. What's working? What's not? What are my people complaining the most about? right? How can I really lead versus try to micromanage? I mean, but it all starts with pulling back.
I'm sitting here thinking about the fact that like I very much so operate off of that mindset because I think that I had really good examples in my life about like these are the things that really matter and like yeah, practicing getting still and like knowing what you really want, setting your goals and trying to kind of get out of your own way or change your own habits that aren't unhealthy. I think my question is because we have definitely worked with people like this, do people come to you and ask for change and then resist it? And if they do, what do you do to get them past it? Because I mean, I'm sure I still do it too. There's definitely things that like I could probably change that I resist. So I think that's where like it's so hard, especially when maybe part of our engagements are meant to be like business development, but then
And
it
then they turn
actually
in, yeah, they turn into something completely different. Yeah.
turns into something different and it's really now focused on me just trying to get the leader to accept the change that they were originally asking for. So I think my
A
question
lovely
is
adoption phase.
exactly, is when you encounter resistance to change.
So I'm really fortunate. Whenever I get on a discovery call with a potential client or whatever, I'm very honest. I mean, I'm incredibly honest and very transparent. And I have fired clients before. Quite simply. I mean, I have a nickname in corporate that I got was the Velvet Hammer. I am nice, but I am great at execution. And if you're going to literally have an engagement with me, it's my job to make sure that we are moving forward in the direction that you had wanted me to. And so I'm sorry, we're going to do this. And it's going to be messy. It's going to, I don't care what it's going to be. I've actually even jumped on a plane before and met them at their house. Seriously. And they're like, oh God, yeah, it's the main scary one. She's here. Lock the doors. But no, seriously. Yes, Hannah, of course, you're going to be met with resistance, especially what I find is the more ingrained the beliefs are and the habits are, you're gonna have resistance. But once you actually are in this sacred space and they understand what's really being done and what needs to happen and also the cost associated with it, I find that because like I said, I take no prisoners, man. I mean, I'm nice and I will champion the living hell out of you and serve you well, but I have just a bullshit meter like you wouldn't believe. I do. And so I just don't put up with it. And like I said, I've fired clients before. And then if they want to rehire me, it's combat pay. I mean, seriously, that's what I call it. I'm like, dude, this is going to cost you a little bit more because it's combat pay. And so it is, but we get it done because I mean, if you're going to work with me, you're going to go in knowing that we're going to touch some very tender and very raw spots. Okay. But once you shed the light on that, then the freedom that comes with that is so beautiful. And not only your life can change, but everyone around you and your leadership changes because you're mastering a whole bunch of, things that are really hard. It's kind of like a lobster and its exoskeleton. I mean, y'all seen lobsters, you've eaten them probably, right? I know I love them, but that shell is so hard. I mean, it's really so hard. Can you imagine having to, get that off yourself? And then you're tender and you're raw until you grow one back, but you can't grow until you do.
No, I appreciate that for sure. I think my last question for you is we live in a time where things are constantly changing and technology systems. Dave and I were talking about a little bit about this before we hopped on with you. Technology systems, things are just changing constantly. And so your mindset when you are leading a business these days is so key, maybe more than it ever has been, to be healthy so that you can adapt or so you can, make changes and things like that. So I think my last question for you is there a piece of advice that you would give our listeners to help them do 10% better tomorrow in the time that we live in right now as a business leader?
Only 10%.
Let's not
Only
ask the moon.
10%, girl. What?
Well, they're going to get 60% or 70 or 80% when they work with you, but 10% over the podcast.
Um, you know, so if I tell you, I have to kill you. No, I'm joking. What they can do is honestly, I've said this, and I'm going to probably preach it again. they got to get still. They've got to carve out time, number one, to pay themselves first. And that looks differently for everybody. But really, you have to pull back. And so I have one of my signature talks is subtracting to add. And it's really important because you must subtract to add in what you're really, wanting to do. So take the time. I mean, because listen, the best investment is in you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and if your nervous system is constantly dysregulated and you're in fight or flight and you're flooded with cortisol, you're not going to be able to be an effective leader. You're not going to have any mastery over yourself or anything else. And you're not going to be able to adapt, and adopt, anything new that's coming up. You're going to stall out.
Yeah, no, I love that.
Well, Hillary, this has been really fun. You've given me some good seeds to be still with. I used to do education a long time ago, and in the education world, John Dewey would say, "You don't learn by doing; you learn by thinking about what you do."
100%. It's I'll leave you with I call it a little Yoda speak, and it's as a thinker thinks, a prover proves. Okay, I know you got to think on that for a minute because it's like so simple, but it's so profound.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's so important is you have to understand what you're thinking about. And you also have to realize that you're manifesting 24/7, and you can just take a look at your life and what it's looking like is what you've been obsessing and thinking and trying to resist. So that's a component also is that it's really so important to slow it down and really get just super clear on what it is that you want to do.
Yeah. 100%. Well, this has been a gift.
Thank
At the outset, we were talking about how we have such a lovely, blessed opportunity to be teachers often,
you.
and also get to be students. And today, I felt like a student. So thanks for being our teacher through this podcast.
Hey, I'm always a student. I'm a lifelong student, man. Every day I wake up, I learn something new.
Yeah, yeah, it's
Love
been
it.
great. Well, thanks so much for this time,
Thank
uh,
you.
and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, I love it. I will lean into asking more of our clients to get still. I'll be honest. I do think that there's so much that we have to do. There's so much work involved in like the operational changes, the systems optimization that I think what I want to take out of this call is telling the people that we work with, like, hey, we're doing all this change, doing all this good stuff. Take a minute to like go be still and reconnect with like who you want to be, what you want your goals to be so that your mindset is ready for making this change like longer lasting. So I love what she's talking about where like you got to sit with yourself, ask some good questions, make sure that you're connected to what you want first.
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciated a lot the conviction around if we're going to do work together, you're going to adopt this.
Yeah.
Right. Like I was like, yeah, yeah. Right. Like what's the point if we're doing this work together and we're not actually seeing the change and making it happen? And that, she hopped on a plane and got in that person's space and combat pay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I like that idea. But I do think there's a lot of truth to that because, we can say we want to change, and I'm guilty of this myself as well, of oh yeah, we need to make this change. We need to do this thing. I'll get to it later, or that if I can just do this, then I'll change. We have a way of kind of pushing that out a bit, and sometimes it does just take the champion in your life to be like, nope, it's now, and you need to go
Mhm.
now, and I'm going to shove you through this point, and then you get to the other side of it, and you're like, I should have done that 6 months ago. What an amazing thing, right? But
Mhm.
you just need that champion shoving you through, and Hillary obviously is a gifted one. So great to have her on the podcast. What a start to season 3, man.
I know. So many good things.
Great
So
start.
yeah, I would say listeners, we're going to charge you with go be still and ask yourself what is the cost of the change or the growth or the fixing that you're doing in your business right now. Make sure that you sit with that question, analyze it, and if you need help addressing it, we know a gal.
Till next time.
Ian? Oops, sorry, you doing it again.
Until next time.
See you next time.
See you next time. No, see you next time.
Okay, see you next time.
No, see you next time.
See you next time. Thank you for joining us on Business Velocity. Today's insights are just the beginning of enhancing your business's momentum. Don't forget to subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also explore our framework at theevolveddifference.com. And remember, the time is now to take these strategies and apply your learning and achieve velocity. See you next time.